Hello, great people. Drama ensued in court during the trial of the leader of the proscribed Indigenous People of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi Kanu accused the trial judge, Justice Binta Nyako, of bias and he asked the judge to recuse herself as demanded. Kanu also accused the prosecutor of insufficient knowledge of the Nigerian law and the Nigerian constitution, just as he accused the judge as well. In this episode of Politics, which was short plug on politics and happenings in the polity, I will be talking about Kanu's trial, Nigeria, and the danger ahead. We'll be analyzing the associated issues accordingly. I didn't want to speak about this topic before, but then I got a message from one of my politicers asking me to weigh in on the topic. So if you are the politiker that sent me this message, your request is granted accordingly. And some of you that are interested in my analysis can also follow me on Facebook. Just check the link in my bio and you will see the link to my Facebook page, my new Facebook page. Follow me accordingly and let's make it happen. Let us watch a 30-second clip of the high point of what happened in court. Then we'll come back for some interesting discussion. Let's watch it.
The prosecution and this court doesn't know the law. That is the fact.
Yes.
Poor knowledge of the law is killing Nigeria. A grown and old man like this doesn't know the law. You don't know the law.
There you have it. What caused the heated argument was because the trial judge, Justice Binta Nyako, refused to recuse herself. You will recall that Nnamdi Kanu was extradited extraordinarily from Kenya during the time of the immediate past president, Muhammadu Buhari. Since then, Nnamdi Kanu has been in detention of the DSS and the trial has gone back and forth from High Court to Appeal Court, then to Supreme Court, then back to Appeal Court. Now, what is the cause of all of this? They are accusing Nnamdi Kanu of secession and treasonable felony. First, something is very important. Nnamdi Kanu told the trial judge to recuse herself. But before I speak on that, it is that you see in Nigeria, if case goes back and forth, that you have a case, it goes from appeal court, it goes from the High Court to Appeal Court to Supreme Court, back to High Court, it shows that perhaps government have strong interest in it and they didn't want that case to perhaps end quickly for reason best known to them. Because if you look at it, any case that government have interest in, it is always attended to very speedily. So if you have accused Nnamdi Kanu of committing any crime and Nnamdi Kanu believe that he has not committed any crime, then I believe that all these years is enough for the case to have been adjudicated upon and judgment delivered accordingly. Because right now, Nnamdi Kanu is in detention. What if at the end of the day, they say, oh, Nnamdi Kanu, you have not committed any crime? Who will pay for the years of his incarceration? Who will pay for his productive hours? And look at it. For Nnamdi Kanu's case is dragging in court. But political cases, election cases don't drag in court like that. So you can see that there is perhaps a hand of government in it. And that's why the case keeps going from court to court. But then let us talk about Justice Binta Nyako recusing herself. You see, if you want to participate, if you have a case in court, it's like participating in a football match. For you to participate in that football match, you must have confidence in the referee that wants to preside over that particular match. But once you don't have confidence in that referee, you have the right to say, oh, I don't believe in this referee. Then the organizing body can change that referee accordingly. If Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is asking for Justice Binta Nyako to recuse herself, the truth is, it is not only Nyako that is the judge that is available in the Federal High Court. So why make a superstar out of Justice Nyako? There are other competent judges that can handle the case of Nnamdi Kanu and deliver judgment accordingly. So if you now insist on Justice Binta Nyako and Kanu doesn't have faith in that judge, at the end of the day, if Kanu is indicted and found guilty, Kanu will say, oh, I have known that you are going to sentence me to prison because you are already biased and I have no confidence in you. And don't forget that Kanu is saying that they have given the woman a go-ahead to make sure that he is nailed because the woman, Justice Binta Nyako, and her son has a corruption case in court. So if the defendant is placing an argument, why do you force the judge on a defendant? That is one thing that we need to note. Now, another thing is that Kanu needs to know sincerely that you really can't fight a judge in the true sense of it, because what Kanu is doing is like fighting a judge. If you fight a judge and at the end of the day, you succeed in getting that judge off your case, it is another judge that will sit on that case. And don't forget that the judge that recused herself and the judge that will sit on the case next, they are colleagues. They are both in the same institution. In fact, they may know themselves. They may not be best of friends, but then they will know themselves because they have spent years in the profession. It's just like you are in a university, and that's why it is not always advised for students to change their supervisor. I mean, let's say you are doing your master's by research or PhD, and you decide to change your supervisor. At the end of the day, the supervisor that they will give you may even be an indirect friend of that your former supervisor, and then you see that your work is not even moving as you expected. But then again, the judge also cannot force herself on you, in the sense that if you are a defendant and you say you don't want this judge, it is honorable. The judge has nothing to gain. There's a lot of case, at the High Court that the judge can handle. So the judge ought to go. And for the chief judge of the Federal High Court to insist that it must be Justice Binta Nyako, that itself is a breach on the right of Nnamdi Kanu, because it takes two to tango. You must believe in the judge. The judge must also be willing to do the case for everything to go smoothly. And the problem now is that Justice Binta Nyako adjourned the case indefinitely. Now, this is where the problem lies. If a judge adjourned your case indefinitely, that means that it has no date. So it is at the pleasure of the judge. When the judge sleeps and wake up on the right side of the bed, even if it is in the next 3 years, even if it is in the next 5 years, that is when the judge will now send a signal that, okay, the case, there will be an hearing on so date. The court registrar, I think, will now contact the lawyer of the defendant and the prosecutors to pass a new date to them. So this adjournment of Nnamdi Kanu's trial indefinitely is a bad omen. It's a bad signal, because if care is not taken, Nnamdi Kanu may not appear in court at all this year. That's what indefinitely means. That means adjourned to further notice, no date, and that itself is a problem, because this thing has political coloration, it has ethnic coloration, and people are really interested in this case. They want to see it to the end. And let us look at something that is very important. During the court process, after the court proceeding, Nnamdi Kanu kept quoting the judgment of the Supreme Court. He kept quoting the law, a law that was gazetted. To me, while watching the video, I find that very interesting and absurd, in the sense that if a defendant that is not a lawyer is quoting authoritatively the judgment of the Supreme Court on his own case, that's strong. That's an indictment on the trial court. You can imagine that Nnamdi Kanu is not a lawyer, and after the trial, he is quoting a judgment of the Supreme Court that the Supreme Court said you are biased, so I don't want you on my case. The Supreme Court said you shouldn't have revoked my bail. If somebody that is not a lawyer is quoting the judgment of the Supreme Court and quoting the laws of Nigeria, how much more a judge that is supposed to know better, and of course the prosecution counsel, that is the prosecutors that are supposed to know better. So if you look at it, that gave me a bit of concern that what this man Nnamdi Kanu is quoting, could it be false? If it is true, then there is a problem, because he is quoting the law to the court, whereas it is the court that is supposed to be quoting the law accordingly. Now, one thing I can say was that the solution to this thing is not the legal process. No, the solution to this thing is the political process. The best way to handle this case is a political solution. And the head of the executive, the head of the Nigerian government is Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But Bola Ahmed Tinubu apparently has not been acting on this case because he has not received adequate pressure on this case of Nnamdi Kanu. There's no uniformity in demand, in the sense that you may see some people, they will come on TV, they will say, oh, release Nnamdi Kanu. Some of them may go back in midnight and tell the president, don't release that man. No, we are not in support of it. So you can see that there will be a back and forth. Release him, don't release him, release him, don't release him, as regards the case of Nnamdi Kanu. So when Bola Ahmed Tinubu himself, when he gets confused, he will just say, well, let me just leave this man. And I think that is what is happening. There's no uniformity on the part of the Igbo people as regards pressurizing the president to release Nnamdi Kanu. And as this case is going, I don't see Nnamdi Kanu being released soon, except there is a political solution. political solution is government will give its terms and condition to Nnamdi Kanu. They will reach a middle ground, and Nnamdi Kanu would be released on those grounds. But if that doesn't happen, what you will have is, if the judgment comes in favor of Nnamdi Kanu, the federal government will appeal. If the judgment goes against Nnamdi Kanu will appeal. So the case will move from the High Court to the Appeal Court, then from the Appeal Court to the Supreme Court. So if you look at the years that it will take, because look at the years that it has taken since the era of Buhari, and the case does not have head or tail till now. So you can see that the political solution is the best thing, and it is people that can bring this political solution, that can advocate it on behalf of Nnamdi Kanu. So I, for one, advocate for political solution. I wouldn't advocate for Nnamdi Kanu's release if Sunday Igboho, that called for Yoruba nation, is still in detention. If the bandits, the Boko Haramists, the murderous X-men, that some of them were being pardoned, are still in detention. If Nigeria is a country that has a constant stand against secession or non-state actors, I won't call for Nnamdi Kanu's freedom. But if Nigeria has released Sunday Igboho that call for Yoruba nation, if bandits, some of these herdsmen, some of these people that have committed heinous crime, kidnappers, are being released and being pampered, some of them are being retrained, if the Niger Delta militants can be pardoned, then you want to ask yourself, why can't Nnamdi Kanu also enjoy such privilege? So this is a wake-up call to Igbo leaders to know what they are doing, to advocate rights, so that what other tribes, people that have committed similar crimes in other tribes have enjoyed, their kinsmen can also enjoy it. It's been an interesting time with you on this episode of Politing with Dr. Omoshola Deji. Dr. Deji is a political scientist with a PhD in political science. Do well to subscribe, turn on your notification button, catch up with my past videos, and of course I have great videos coming your way. See you in my next video. I love you all sincerely.